Hi there. So I thought it's time for a bit of an update. I've put 874 kilometers on the Ranger since I bought it last week, and yeah, so this wouldn't be like a full review of the differences between a prior model and this model, but just a little bit of an update for people interested in wondering what the drive is like compared to the previous generation model. So yeah, let's go for it. So it's telling us it's ready to drive. We just show you some of the drive modes here. Audio shows you there's the Android Auto connected. So navigation. So with the navigation, it usually throws the navigation on the screen here, and you can see it there. So there's the trip computers, and as you can see, that is set to kilometers per liter. So I'm doing 9.9, and this was a combination of highway driving as well as local driving here in Johannesburg itself. Trip computer 2, you can see there's the fuel economy. So I still think the engine is kind of being run in. I used to average 10.5, 11 on my previous one overall. So yeah, I'm assuming it'll get better with time. That shows you the seat belts aren't connected, and that just is your audio controls. So I did customize my gauges a bit. Let's take this away. So I've like the speedo here, so it kind of shows you the speedos. It just folds up the screen a bit, and also I've put on the tachometer on the left, and on the right that is the physical engine oil, and then you obviously have the vehicle temperature on the left, and then you've got the fuel gauge on the right. So for those wondering out there, the screen isn't highly customizable, but you do have a few preferences you can put in. For instance, here, configure my view. You can see the trip computers are selected, fuel economy now playing, navigation, the seat belts, tire pressure, and then the trailer light status, which I don't use. So yeah, let's go for a little bit of a drive. Okay, so there's a look at the new 360-degree camera setup. It works well. I wouldn't say it's the most modern system out there, but it is definitely a big step up from the previous one. Also the quality of the rear view camera, I think they're probably using a different lens or something, or the software is different, but it's actually quite good. The quality as well, you can see well as well. So here you can see the illustration, and those are the surrounding objects around the bakkie. So yeah, it is a bit daunting at first, getting used to it. There's so much stuff happening on the screen, where the previous one just used to fill up its little tiny screen there with the rear view camera. This is obviously much more sophisticated and loads more going on. This is quite a narrow driveway, and I think as soon as we start driving through here, there's a good chance you might see the front cameras popping up. No, not today. Let's just get out here. You can see what I meant about it's quite a narrow driveway. Previously, when I wanted to buy the Raptor, I always begged the guys at Ford to lend me one so I can just come and check out the highway, but no, Ford at that stage, or that salesman didn't really bother trying to get me a loan unit, so I decided on another Wildtrak. There you can see the front cameras popping up now, because it's detected there's something in front of me. So it's a intuitive system. Wouldn't say it's perfect, and I would definitely not put all my trust in the system, and not be observant in your surroundings. Let's just take a bit of a drive out here. So I don't know what they did with the gearbox, but it's either a mixture of software and internal changes, but the gearbox feels much smoother than previously. The previous one, the gearbox, it was almost a feeling of being disconnected, as if the gearbox didn't know what the revs were doing. And I know mine did get a software update, but I wouldn't say it made a massive improvement. And coming from the 6-speed auto 3.2 liter to the 10-speed bi-turbo, always felt a bit jaunting. It's like they almost moved back in regards to how smooth the gearbox was. Especially in hilly terrain, the 3.2 in hilly terrain, you could always feel that bit of engine braking, that sort of thing. And I do realize that a 3.2 liter has more compression than a bi-turbo 2 liter, but the gearbox always just used to run, and it felt like the best I can explain it is if you're on a bike and you're going downhill and you pull the clutch in and you can just freewheel the bike down. That's the sort of feeling I always got. I haven't been in passes with this one yet. Probably will be soon because I'm starting work soon. But yeah, we'll see. So this bi-turbo model supposedly is down on power in regards to outright kilowatts. But they did something different to the motor or the fuel mapping, because it feels a lot more responsive, a lot more smooth. And if you just kind of press it, it's a bit of a turbo lag, but there it kicks in immediately. So that was definitely a big improvement over the old one, which I like. The bakkie feels a lot more lively now than a previous generation. So overall a big improvement there. As we're going over some of the bumps here, also that clunkiness of the old suspension, that's not there anymore. So obviously Ford did a bit of a tune on the suspension there as well, which is it's a good improvement. So well done to the guys at Ford there. So as you guys can see down here in the corner, there's a little speed sign recognition, and that's the speed run recognition system picking up either from maps or from, you would see right there was a 35 km/h speed limit board up there, and it switched immediately to the 35. So I think it's a combination of it using map data in fact, and also recognizing speed signs around you that does the configuration of the system. So obviously the previous generation did not have that, so that is a good improvement overall. So this model is one of the models that came out with the all-terrain tires, and we've been having a lot of rain in Joburg, so I've driven it quite a bit in the wet on the highways, and I must say that the tires so far have performed well. Generally, after I've usually run down the standard Continentals that used to come with all these Wildtraks, I always went for an all-terrain tire, and I've had BF Goodridges before, which the KO series, which I did not like in the wet. I've tried the General Grabbers 83, like they put on some of the previous gen Raptors as well, but twitchy in the wet as well, especially on highway speeds and corners. And I've also tried the full out Wrangler Adventure tires with the Kevlar sidewalls, which did not perform well at all. Got good mileage on them, but had quite a bit of punctures in fact, and in some cases even slashed sidewalls, and I can tell you for a fact there's no Kevlar in those sidewalls. There was no Kevlar there. Getting down here. So So during just cruising around in town, that sort of thing, there's still a bit of engine noise coming through into the cabin. I don't know if it's really better or worse than the previous model. I'll actually have to drive them back to back again. But just based on ear, I think it's kind of similar. It does feel like it quiets down or during highway speeds and when on the highway, and where I think the engine and the big turbo is spooling up and just doing its thing, then it does seem a bit more quiet. Alright, so there on the dash you can see the lane centering system at work, and you can put it off here, and I have actually tried to put it off permanently in the menu, and I've toggled the switch left and right in the new Sync 4 system, but for some reason it keeps staying on. So when I'm back at Fort, I will definitely bring it to their attention. Maybe it's a software glitch currently in the Sync 4 software for South Africa, but it is kind of intrusive, and yeah, it's kind of bothersome, especially with it being on all the time, because it's quite intrusive. You can adjust it, but I prefer to have it off. So with the walk around video, I never brought to the people's attention, but yes, the spare wheel is not a mag wheel. It's in fact a steel wheel, and it's a 17-inch wheel with a higher diameter. So they did compensate for the fact that these are 18 inches with a higher sidewall tire. So anybody worried out there that it's a bit of a mess up, it should do just fine if you need a spare, and everything should be okay. If we look around a bit, you can see here, that's how the new temperature controls look. I think it works better than the old ones. It's not bad at all. There's somebody admiring the new Ranger here next to me. And yeah, so far the new system has been functioning well. It does look slightly overwhelming when you first start out with it, but yeah, I think this guy's sleeping a bit. There we go. So yeah, overall a well thought out bucky. I like the new door latches. In fact, I've had to pull out my wife's BMW a few times now in the last week, and every time I keep reaching to the wrong spot to find the door handles. So once you're used to these, it's very intuitive, and you will definitely miss it if you have to drive different vehicles. In regards to control, the steering, it's electronic steering, and it does tighten and loosen up in regards to what sort of speed you are doing. So it does work quite well. So yeah, that's all good. So now I've activated the Android Auto. It is a wireless system, but due to the fact that it drains your cell phone quite a bit, and my current phone doesn't support wireless charging, I've decided to use the hardwired connection through the USB port. Good to know, even with the Android Auto connected. So for those that were used to the old Rangers and now used to be able to select Sport down here on the gear knob, there is no more Sport function on these new Rangers. I'll quickly show you the different driving modes there is. That's normal, that's Eco, which I haven't used. There's the tow haul function, also not used, and there's the slippery. And I could actually, yeah, feel the difference in the engine now when I was switching the modes there. So The new indicator stalks have a bit of a different feel to them. Provide much more feedback and feel less flimsy. And actually the same for the window buttons here as well. It's got a bit of a lip and it's a bit of a metal feel, and it just overall feels much more premium than the old ones. So I found a bit of a secluded road here, and just want to take you through a few bumps here. This is quite a bumpy road, just to show you how the Ranger behaves. So this is a 100 zone, so let's just, there you can feel it gearing back, and yeah, just overall much more responsive than the previous bi-turbo. So what else have I noticed in 800 or 890 kilometers of driving the new Ranger? Wildtrak, definitely a little bit wider. It is an imposing vehicle from the outside, but as soon as you start driving the vehicle, all that bulk and weight, it actually just kind of disappears, and it is actually a very comfortable vehicle to drive, especially if you are used to buckies or big SUVs. Then it won't bother you at all. So yeah, no, all positive in that regard. The new steering, I think it's actually slightly smaller than the old one, and it's quite a hard rat leather one. The previous one was actually quite soft, but this one is quite hard. It's not uncomfortable, and we'll see with a bit of ownership what it does, and I'll keep everyone updated in that regard. So yeah, there is the new sound system. Let's see what we have here. I'm gonna look for a song for you guys. Some of the bumps handles it quite well, not a problem there. This one as well handles it quite well. There's a previous gen Ranger. Always greet the Ranger people. Taking his dog out for a little bit of a trip. So let's look for a song here. So a nice loud system, but not too loud, and it keeps its clarity. So quite nice there. Let's hope I don't get a copyright infringement from YouTube for playing a few seconds of that song. So overall, we have lost a few of the creature comforts in the new Ranger, and I'm sure it'll probably be reintroduced as this model gets updated. But it's the old one would definitely not be able to compare to the new one in the bi-turbo, guys, because the new one is an improvement in ride quality, in styling, in, I think the interior is also quite a bit better. The seats are more comfortable, and yeah, it's just overall improvement. And I do think if you are an owner of the previous generation Wildtrak and you can look past a few omissions in the new models, that you will be happy, and you will be truly impressed with the new Ranger Wildtrak. I am, and I've owned quite a few Wildtraks, and this iteration is probably the best yet, and it's a worthwhile buy. And my plan is to probably drive this one for about 3 years, and then see how it performs and how the new styling holds up over time, and then we'll see from there. Alright, I found it. I found a bit of a secluded road here. There's no people around, no cyclists, no joggers, and this is actually a road with a max 100 kilometers an hour speed rating. So let's just quickly do the 0 to 100. So I'm flat pressing it down. You can see that it's starting to rev, and for a fairly big vehicle, it does pick up its legs quite well. And there, 100. So not bad. I think the small turbo works quite well getting to 100, and around here about 120 you can usually feel the bigger turbo doing its thing as well. So yeah, I wouldn't be dicing Golf's GTIs, but yeah, it's no slouch, and you won't have issues passing vehicles on the highway and overtaking. As I mentioned, I've put in an address just to go and show you guys how the on-screen navigation looks. It does want me to turn right here, but I don't think right is a very safe route because I'm out here in the sticks and it looks like I'm kind of in a wrong turn movie. So I'm just gonna drive around and go back the way I came. You can see the rear camera is working again, and let's do one last 0 to 100. Let's stop. Okay, flat. There we go. The rev's right up there to the rev limit. I think the sports mode is gone, as I think it actually figures out that when you press the accelerator hard enough, that this system then probably engages. So we're coming here on up to a little gravel section. I'm just going to take you guys through a short little detour, and no, this is not the 4x4 version, and I wouldn't say this little route I'm on is a very tricky road, but just to kind of give you guys an idea of cabin noise, that sort of thing, when you do travel off-road. Let's take a little detour for you guys here to the left. Let's see here. We have had quite a bit of rain here, so let's hope it's not too much of a mess. Then I know what I'll be doing the rest of the afternoon is washing this beast of a bucky. So yeah, here we go. Oh, it is a bit of a slippery mess here, but you know what, I think let's do it. Let's do it for you guys, and then I will be spending the rest of the day washing the bucky. So there's some ruts here, no need to engage the flock yet. Bucky drive through well. I haven't even engaged the slippery mode. Yeah, there I can hear the all-terrain tires picking up all the mud I've just driven through. Yeah, overall not a bad drive, and yeah, I'm quite impressed. Quite impressed. Oh shucks. Guys, sorry, I won't be able to go any further. It does look like the bridge is flooded, and yeah, I certainly don't want my new bucky floating down down this little stream here. So apologies for that. I would have liked to have shown you a bit more, but yeah, I am not gonna go over to that little stream and get my bucky flooded away. Cheers.